Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're cutting through some of the usual noise. We've got a pretty specific signal to look at coming from a real heavyweight in technical analysis.
Yeah, John Bollinger,
Well,
Bollinger Bands guy.
exactly. He put out a warning, basically a heads up, for the crypto market. His words were, and this is a direct quote, "Gonna be time to pay attention soon, I think."
Right. And, when someone like Bollinger says pay attention, it's not just casual commentary. It means the charts are probably showing something significant, like potential for a big move is building up.
Okay, so that's our mission for this deep dive then,
Yeah,
to figure out what he's seeing.
precisely. We need to break down the technical signal. He flagged this W bottom pattern. He specifically mentioned seeing it shape up on Ethereum and Solana charts. So we'll dig into what that pattern is, why it matters, especially for ETH and SOL, and what you should probably be watching.
Yeah, that pay attention part definitely suggests something's brewing under the surface. It shifts the whole feeling from, like, waiting around to maybe needing to get ready for action.
Definitely changes the market psychology.
So let's get straight into it.
Yeah.
What exactly is this W bottom pattern, especially when you're looking at it with Bollinger Bands?
Okay, so the W bottom, fundamentally, it's a reversal pattern. It suggests that a downtrend might be running out of steam.
Right. Looks like the letter W.
Exactly. In terms of Bollinger Bands, what you typically see is the price dipping down, touching, or even going below the lower band. Then it recovers, bounces back up towards the middle band.
Okay.
Then it dips again, a second trough. Often, it tests that same sort of price level near the lower band again. If buyers step in strongly on that second dip, and the price starts moving up convincingly, you get that W shape. It signals that selling pressure got absorbed twice around the same area.
And Bollinger's point was that this isn't just a theoretical pattern. He sees it pretty clearly forming on both ETH and SOL right now.
That's the key observation. ETH and SL showing this potential reversal pattern quite distinctly.
But not Bitcoin.
And that's the really interesting part. He specifically noted it's not yet visible for Bitcoin, or at least not clearly.
Huh. What does that imply then? Usually Bitcoin leads the charge?
Well, that's it. If ETH and SOL are showing strength first, if they break out of this pattern before BTC, it could mean they're actually leading the market this time. It suggests a potential shift, where altcoins might pull Bitcoin and the wider market up rather than the other way around.
Okay, but I got to push back a little here. Crypto's notoriously volatile.
Wow.
Technical patterns get blown up all the time, right? Why put so much stock in a classic pattern like a W bottom, even from Bollinger?
That's a fair challenge, and you're right, no pattern is foolproof, especially in crypto. But the context matters here. It's not just the pattern itself, it's who is pointing it out. Bollinger's call adds psychological weight. Plus, it's the divergence that strengthens the signal. It's not just one coin, it's two major platforms, ETH and SOL, showing it simultaneously while the market leader, BTC, isn't. That suggests something more coordinated, maybe a real shift in where capital is flowing, rather than just like random chart noise.
Okay, that makes the divergence more compelling. Let's pin down the specifics for listeners. What price levels are we talking about for these dips on ETH and SOL?
Sure. So for Ethereum, those two dips, the bottom of the W, happen roughly around the $3,700 level. That's where it found support twice in the past month or so.
Okay, $3,700 for ETH and Solana.
Solana showed very similar behavior. Its troughs formed around the $175 mark, again hitting near the lower Bollinger Band and bouncing.
Got it. And contrasting that with Bitcoin, you said it's different.
Yeah, Bitcoin's recent low was more of a sharp, deep V-shaped recovery. It didn't really form that kind of double dip accumulation structure that makes a W. Most analysts are still saying BTC is consolidating, kind of moving sideways after that drop. It hasn't given that same reversal signal yet.
But things are happening with Bitcoin's technicals too, aren't they? Things that suggest volatility might be coming anyway.
Oh, absolutely. You can't ignore BTC. Looking at its Bollinger Bands, they recently expanded quite a bit after being squeezed really tight.
The Bollinger Band squeeze, right? Low volatility predicting high volatility.
Exactly. That squeeze often precedes a big, sharp move. We don't know the direction for sure from the squeeze itself, but it tells you energy is building up.
And there was another key level for Bitcoin. You mentioned people are watching the 50-week moving average. Why is that one so important?
Yeah, the 50-week simple moving average, the SMA, it's a big one for longer-term trend analysis. A lot of larger funds, institutional players, they often look at the 50-week as a key marker for the overall health of the trend.
Like a line in the sand almost.
Sort of. It filters out the weekly noise. Holding above it generally means the long-term structure is still considered bullish or at least intact, even if there's short-term choppiness. The fact that BTC is hovering around this major average, combined with the band expansion and these altcoin patterns, it all kind of reinforces this idea that we're at a potential turning point.
Okay, this is where it gets really practical. If this altcoin-led scenario plays out, what does it mean for different people in the market? Let's start with short-term traders. What should they be thinking?
For active traders, this W pattern on ETH and SOL is basically a high alert. It's time to start thinking about potential setups. They'd be looking for a breakout above the middle peak of that W as an entry signal.
Right, the little peak between the two troughs.
Exactly. So traders are probably defining entry points, figuring out where to place stop losses likely below that second low, and getting ready for potentially increased speed or volatility if the pattern confirms. In these situations, being early but not too early can make a big difference.
And for someone holding crypto long-term, maybe someone heavily weighted in Bitcoin.
For the longer-term investor, this is more about portfolio structure. If ETH and OSO are showing signs of accumulation and relative strength while BTC is lagging, it might suggest that capital is favoring these platform ecosystems right now.
So potentially rebalancing.
Potentially. It's a signal to review your allocation. Are you maybe too concentrated in BTC if market leadership might be shifting, even temporarily, towards these major smart contract platforms? It prompts a reevaluation of your exposure.
Makes sense. And zooming out even further, what about the broader Web3 space? If ETH and SOL gain momentum, what's the ripple effect?
Well, it generally signals renewed confidence in the actual utility layers of crypto. ETH and SOL are foundational platforms for so much DeFi, NFTs, layer 2s, all that stuff.
The building blocks.
Yeah. So if money flows back into ETH and SOL strongly, you often see developer activity pick up, project funding gets a bit easier, maybe new applications launch. It suggests capital isn't just speculating on price, but it's ready to deploy back into building and using these networks again.
Okay, so we've painted a picture of potential opportunity here, driven by this technical signal. But we need to talk risks. You mentioned patterns fail.
Crucially important, yes. Technical analysis is about probabilities, not certainties. False breakouts are absolutely a thing, especially in crypto. The W can form, look perfect, and then the price just rolls over.
And external factors too, right? It's not all just charts.
Definitely. Macro conditions are huge. Unexpected news about interest rates, new regulations popping up, shifts in global liquidity. Any of that can completely override a nice-looking technical setup. The crypto market doesn't exist in a vacuum.
What's the biggest technical risk specific to this scenario, though? The ETH-SOL leading BTC idea.
The biggest one is probably divergence failure. Let's say ETH and SOL do break out, they confirm the W bottom. But if Bitcoin just sits there, or worse, starts to fall,
Then the altcoin rally fizzles out.
very likely. Altcoins can lead for a bit, but sustained, broad market rallies usually need Bitcoin to participate to provide that sort of baseline liquidity and confidence.
Yeah.
If BTC fails to follow through, that ETH and SOL breakout could easily become a trap, sucking people in before reversing. That's a major risk to watch.
Okay, so for listeners wanting to track this actively, what are the key confirmation signals they should be looking for? Beyond just the price hitting a certain level, what other data points?
Good question. You want confidence. So
Right.
first, look at on-chain data for ETH and SOL. Are large amounts moving off exchanges? Big outflows often mean accumulation, coins going into cold storage, which reduces selling pressure. That's a positive sign.
Okay, exchange outflows. What else?
Second, check the derivatives markets. Futures and perpetual swaps. Two key things there. One is open interest. That's the total value of all open contracts. If open interest is rising significantly as the price breaks out, it means new money, new leverage is coming in to bet on the move continuing. It adds fuel.
Got it. Open interest rising. And the second derivative signal.
The funding rate. This is basically the cost for traders to hold long positions in perpetual swaps. If the funding rate turns strongly positive and stays there during the breakout, it shows that leveraged longs are aggressively driving the price up. It confirms demand is strong on the leverage side.
Okay, so on-chain outflows, rising open interest, positive funding rates. And what about just pure price action? What's the trigger there?
The classic confirmation is a decisive close above that middle peak of the W. That peak was the last point where sellers successfully pushed the price back down. Breaking firmly above it signals the buyers have likely won that battle, the accumulation might be over, and the uptrend is trying to establish itself.
And keep an eye out for news too, I guess. Catalysts.
Always. Major Ethereum upgrade news, big developments on Solana, or even unexpected macro events could all act as catalysts, either helping the breakout or potentially derailing it.
So let's try to summarize the actionable takeaways here for someone trading actively.
ETH and SOL go on the high priority watch list. Set alerts around that middle W is peak level. Define your entry, stop loss, and maybe take profit levels based on the pattern's parameters before any breakout happens. Be ready for volatility.
Okay. And for the longer-term investor?
This is a prompt to review your overall allocation. Does the potential for ETH and SOL to show relative strength change how you think about your balance between BTC and major altcoin platforms? It's about strategic positioning.
And finally, for people building in Web3.
If ETH and SOL catch a sustained bid, it could signal renewed interest in capital flowing into their ecosystems. That might mean more user engagement, maybe better funding opportunities down the line. It's a sign the tide might be turning, bringing more activity.
It really underscores how much market structure matters, doesn't it? It's not just about the tech or the hype. How the market is positioned technically, these patterns Bollinger's flagging, they can dictate the flow of money.
Absolutely. This specific setup, the clear W possibility on key alts while BTC consolidates, it's a relatively distinct signal in the current noise.
So wrapping this up, what's the bottom line?
The bottom line is we've got a signal from a very credible source pointing to a classic reversal pattern on major altcoins with a significant divergence from Bitcoin. It strongly suggests we could be heading into a period of potentially sharp price movement.
Could go either way, though.
Exactly. Preparation and discipline are key. Whether this leads to a sustained upward move or turns out to be a bull trap, being ready and managing risk is what matters. So here's a final thought to leave you with. If this W bottom does play out, confirms, and SOL start moving, is this really the start of something new, maybe a shift towards altcoins leading? Or is it actually the final sharp warning sign before the market takes a very different turn, especially if Bitcoin ultimately fails to join the party? Something to watch very closely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. And hey, if you found this breakdown helpful, if you got some value out of it, please do take a second to hit the like button, maybe drop a comment. It genuinely helps the channel a lot, tells the algorithm people are watching, and lets us keep making more content like this for you. We really appreciate the support. Thanks again.